Hey fellow backyard boyers, Nick here. I got a lot of really good response to my last video where I talked about some arrows from Walmart and showed you guys how I refletch them. So today we're going to be refletching these arrows. I'm going to show you guys how I refletch one of these carbon arrows. And these steps will pretty much go for any store-bought carbon arrow that has plastic vanes on it. So the first thing to start is you're going to need to take these vanes off. Now there's a lot of ways you can do that. And one of the reasons why I want to take these vanes off is, one, I'm going to mainly be shooting off the hand, and feathers are a lot more forgiving when you're shooting off the hand or shooting off of a shelf. Another thing too is that these are pretty cheap arrows. I'm going to kind of show you. You can kind of see that these vanes aren't put on very well. They don't fly very well. So even if you're looking to keep plastic vanes on really badly fletched arrows like this, I would take these off and refletch them anyway. So you have some options. There are tools out there that are designed to strip the fletching off of an arrow. You can go that route, or you can just use a knife. Now you need to have a really sharp knife, and one thing to keep in mind is that when you're doing this you need to be very gentle. You have a very light touch because you don't want to actually scrape carbon off of this. You don't want to scrape through the arrow shaft itself. And it's very easy to do if you're not careful. So what I like to do is just start from the base here, and actually on these I'll take the nocks out first. These nocks just sort of pop in and they aren't glued in or anything. So take that, put that in a safe place. So what I like to do is take my knife and just very gently take most of it off. And then I just go back with lighter strokes and I just kind of go like this until the whole vane is removed. And then I go really lightly just to remove some of the previous adhesive. And there we go. Just so you guys can see this a little better, I'll do it from your point of view. So I just kind of take my thumb and start the cut. I take the whole vane off, and then I just sort of start cleaning it off. Just kind of use lighter strokes. You don't want to cut the arrow itself. There you go. So you just do that for all three vanes until it's cleaned off. Alright, and here's the arrow with the fletching removed. So now you've just got a carbon arrow shaft. But from here you could just go ahead and refletch this. Before I refletch this, I will actually rub it down with a little bit of denatured alcohol. That just helps to prep the shaft. It lets your fletching glue or tape or whatever you're planning on using, it allows it to stick to the shaft a lot better. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, what I'm going to be doing is removing the label here, and then I'm going to be covering this with paint so that it has a nice look to it. I figure if I'm going to be working on an arrow and putting time into it, I want it to look nice, and I want it to look a little different than the arrows that you can just pick up in the store. So there are a couple options for removing this label. Now some, like this Allen, are sort of printed on here. So this is actually a thin layer on top of this. This can be scraped off. Some actually use a full-on wrap. So these can be scraped off or actually peeled off. And then some have a really nice finish that's almost part of the carbon. That, in most cases, you either need a good solvent or you just have to paint over it. So what I normally do is I do a combination of scraping and solvent. I just use denatured alcohol. And basically you just want to take your knife and just put it on the arrow shaft just until the edge starts to make contact. You don't want to actually get at the arrow itself. So as you can see, a lot of that label is gone now. So this makes it very easy for the alcohol to do its work. I've got a cotton pad. You could use a paper towel. Really anything at this point will work. Just take a little bit and put the denatured alcohol in it. So now you just want to wipe this off. So let's see. Is there any more there? Nope. Okay, good. Once you've got that removed, I like to just go ahead and wipe down the arrow all the way from where we fletch, or where the fletchings were. That way we prep it for our new fletchings and our paint. And then I just give the shaft a full wipe down, because I'm also going to be clear coating this afterward. There it is. As you can see, the label is completely gone. And you have one completely bare shaft ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead, do this to the rest of them, and then we'll move on to prepping for paint. So you may not be comfortable scraping the label off of your arrow, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong. If you bite a little too deeply with the knife, you could actually pull off splinters of carbon. You could weaken the arrow if you're not doing it light enough. So you can actually just use the solvent, and if you just rub this label, and you may have to go through a couple of paper towels as this stuff gets rubbed off, but as you can see, you can use just the denatured alcohol to take this off. And personally, I don't like using anything anything stronger than denatured alcohol for stripping arrows. I find that it works just fine and you're not going to damage the arrow itself. So there it is. I'm going to finish up the rest and I'll show you what they look like.